Polishing to preserve black paint.
Hi, I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
This is DIY Detail. Today, we're going to be polishing and then preserving. So the polishing, we're doing the least amount of polishing possible because this is a car that only has 700 miles on it. Not 7,000, not 700,000, just 700 miles, less than 1,000 miles. The paint is factory fresh except for one little thing. They used a car cover. A lot. The edges, every one of these edges here looks like it's been sanded. We don't want to cut that, we want to polish. So we want to do the least amount to bring the gloss back up, to remove those little scratch marks, and then we'll protect with Hydr8.
I know they used a car cover because I opened the trunk and I saw it in there. Nothing wrong with car covers, and there's nothing wrong with the yellow pad on the dual action polisher, which is the way we tell people, if you're only gonna have one pad, one way to cut and finish. But this is a piece of history now.
Right.
I mean, it's only, what, 19 years old?
19 years old.
But it's historic for how few miles it has. This GT looks amazing. So we are going to take our Rotary with the smooth movement, the red pad, which is our softest pad, and the gold standard polish, and we are just jeweling this paint. We're leaving the deep stuff, but we're really just leaving history, Ivan. And who might run into a situation like this? Because a lot of people want to cut out every defect, and this isn't going to do that.
No. If you're working on classic cars, a lot of times preservation is worth a lot more, meaning that they rather have some scratches here and there than the paint burn through and have to repaint a panel. And that is the case here. This is factory paint. The owner wants it brought back to showroom-like condition. If you looked at a car closely in a showroom, don't take your inspection light with you. You'll be very distraught. So that's what we're doing. We're bringing it back to showroom condition, which is beautiful. And in the case of Hydr8, it fills a little bit too. So those little minor lines that remain might be taken care of.
We're going to get to polishing, and then we'll show you Hydr8. A beautiful thing about Hydr8 is, as Ivan says, it fills. So it's kind of a nice combo with this and that. If you don't have a lot of clear coat to work with, or if you really want to preserve it, give yourself a little filling in the ceramic coating application, and you're going to get a real boost of gloss.
Off we go.
Why are we using the Rotary, Ivan?
It is the safest and least aggressive method that we have. Again, we're not going for full-on paint correction. We're not going for a show car finish. We're going for preservation. Bring it back to the factory state. The paint on this has never been polished. It's probably never been waxed. We didn't find any wax residue, which is fun for a classic car. There's no wax residue anywhere. This car was purchased and parked. And time for us to get this paint back to where it should be. The stripes, those we are not touching. This is 19-year-old vinyl that from the factory wasn't the greatest, so we're not going to be touching that. Going to be staying away from it at least an eighth of an inch. That way we're sure not to damage the stripes.
And no reason to use the yellow waffle pad here?
No.
On the DA?
No, we want to keep as much paint here as possible. Plus, we'll be using our Hydr8 ceramic coating after we polish. And that Hydr8 ceramic coating, any little remaining marks, we'll fill them up. Speed 1 on the Rotary, 1 spray of polish is all we need, and we're ready to polish. We don't want to polish the stripes, but we also don't want to put tape on the stripes because the adhesive from the tape can damage this old vinyl easily. So we're being cautious and just staying a little ways away from them. Wiping off the residue, same thing, I want to stay off the stripes. We've cleaned, we've decontaminated them, but we don't want to get polish on them. And just a rinse and Stampin' towel, and you'll notice I'm not taking off all the residue. All I'm doing is emulsifying it with the towel, then I can remove the residue with my Freebird 400. Revealing a nice deep black gloss. Next step, adhesion promoter polish. Now, you notice when we polished, we stayed away from these vinyl stripes because they're sensitive, they're old vinyl, and polish can actually damage them a little bit. The adhesion promoter polish, on the other hand, we want to polish these stripes. We want to go over them. We want to bring back as much clarity as we can without making them shiny because they are designed to be matte.
So that was part of the logic. Ivan was very adamant that we stay away from these lines during polishing, and I was like, it's the rotary jeweling pad. Like, what are we going to do? But you do plan to hit it with the pad. Not hit it, but using the pad. You just got a method to the madness. It all makes sense now. If you weren't even going to polish, would you use adhesion promoter polish with this machine and pad?
Yes, definitely. So adhesion promoter polish, put 3 drops on the pad, and we're not polishing at this point to revive paint. We're not polishing to remove scratches. We're deep cleaning. That's what we're doing with this step. This deep cleaning step dives deep into the paint, getting rid of everything at the same time, swelling it just a little bit and opening the pores. So when we put the coating onto the vehicle, we're actually putting it into the clear coat, not just on the clear coat.
Let's show them how it's done, Ivan.
Now, adhesion promoter polish, if you've never used it, this replaces panel prep. We don't need to use panel prep when you're using adhesion promoter polish. I have no pressure on the machine. I'm just gliding it across the surface. And once I've done a section, I don't need to go back over it.
So what, 1 pass, 2 passes? What's the standard operating procedure?
1 or 2 quick passes and we're done. We just keep moving along the vehicle, and as long as I see residue left behind, I don't need to add any more. We don't clean the pad. We do not use a pad washer. We actually use a dry pad here, which is something you don't see us do too often.
Dry towel as well. So we use a rinseless wash dampened pad and a rinseless wash dampened towel to wipe off gold standard polish. In app, we stay dry. Nothing wet, nothing damp, right, Ivan?
Correct.
Now, if you're sweating in the shop, that could be damp, but this is so low maintenance, low work. I feel like applying app with this machine is actually less work, speaking of sweating, than panel prep. With panel prep, you're spraying on the one towel and you're wiping with the other. Then you're doing this, you're doing that. The machine is effortless. It's very zen.
Now there is a slight bit of abrasive in the adhesion promoter polish. That's why I'm lingering on the stripes just a little longer, because there were a few little water spot remnants there that we wanted to get rid of. We used water spot remover, but there's still a bit of mineral etching, and that's what I'm going after. Now the mineral etching was definitely not deep on this. It wasn't a, it's not a neglected vehicle.
This is a classic car at this point, Ivan. What should folks know about polishing vinyl stripes, whether it's new, classic? Because I think vinyl stripes are kind of one of these where a lot of detailers don't see them often, so they kind of guess when they see them and they're not quite sure what to do.
Yeah, having owned one of these Mustangs, I know these vinyl stripes are not exactly the best, highest quality vinyl. They're just on the vehicle. We want to stay away from them with anything that's abrasive, so a compound, definitely not a polish, and even not tape lines. We don't want to put tape on there because the adhesive from the tape can actually damage the line and leave a permanent mark. So that's why we just stayed about a 1/16 of an inch away, maybe up to an 1/8 away as we're polishing. And now with the adhesion promoter polish, though, I am going over the surface. Now, adhesion promoter polish may seem like work, but it's actually faster than doing panel prep. Once you learn how to do it, once you realize that you don't need to be lingering on anything and you're just getting it on the surface, it's fast, it's easy, it's effective. Now, very important is the machine. You don't want to use a long stroke machine. You don't want to use a rotary. You want to use between a 2 and 9 millimeter stroke. More than that, you can actually not damage the surface, but damage the app and not make it as effective as it can be.
Is it just me or is this getting glossier?
It's getting glossier. Adhesion promoter polish, like we said, swells the paint just a little bit. And that swelling means that paint gets glossier, it gets deeper. So now the surface, I'm starting to see, I still have some residue left behind, but it's starting to get thin, so I'm going to add another drop or two.
My best advice with app is to have 2 towels, and it's nice to have a certain duo of towels, but you can kind of do this with whatever towels you want. I like using Nick's favorite glass towel, Nick's favorite app removal towel for that initial wipe down, and the Freebird 400 for my second one. You could use 2 Freebird 400s, you could use 2 level 1s. Just use what works for you in this step. We're very precise in what we recommend for the coating. Ivan, do you have any thoughts on app removal?
I like the Nick's favorite glass towel as well for app removal. Wax as well if you're applying a wax. It just has a little more bite to it. Now, it's not an aggressive towel. It's not going to damage your paint, but it grabs a little more. The following up with the Freebird 400, great call there as well. Basically what it's doing is the longer fibers and the softer fibers will get into like around these rivets here and in other areas to make it a little easier.
Not with me putting pressure down on it, just they do kind of the work for you, which I like as like my final coating, leveling, and app removal towel.
Yep.
Evan, is it fair to say as I'm wiping off this app,
Yes.
I'm actually spreading it as well so that if your machine wasn't able to get into any nook and cranny, I'm kind of moving it around with my towel and possibly like moving it into spaces you didn't reach. Is that a good way to think about it?
Yes, exactly. So hence the importance of really doing a phenomenal job leveling, which Nick is known for.
No, and I am getting under here. So I treated the first towel like I'm just spreading the app. I haven't fully wiped it off yet.
Yep.
I'm making sure I get into every corner, and then kind of like you're about to see with the coating, as I level with this towel, yeah, it's making sure that all the residue's gone. So Ivan, you're getting ready to get started here with Hydr8. I don't have to be right behind you. There's some time in between applying and leveling.
Correct, yeah. Actually, the longer you can wait, up to about half an hour to an hour, the better it is.
Last pop quiz.
Yes.
App over panel prep. In 30 seconds or less, why?
Works better, easier, faster, gives better results, easier to apply your coating. Your coating's going to last longer. I think I'm under 30 seconds there.
You did a great job. Hydr8, how many drops and what is that in your hand?
So 8 to 10 drops on our applicator. And you want to use the foam applicator, comes with it.
Not a microfiber towel or not a microfiber applicator from some other brand.
No, you don't want a microfiber applicator. It absorbs too much coating and you'll actually put the coating on too thick. Now, you can see exactly where the coating is. Super simple on this flat black paint. And when we say flat black, I mean there's no metallic in it, there's no pearl, it is strictly just black. So the Ford UA paint code, same black paint code they've had for decades. So extremely easy to see where the coating is and where it isn't. I'm making sure to go past the edges of the hood. Getting it everywhere. Now, we have a bit of humidity in the shop today, so you can see it's starting to cross-link already. Getting that oil slick on water look or rainbow. Do the same on the stripes here. And with any ceramic coating, laying it on thicker is not better. What's happened to you, Nick, when you've laid coating on just a little thick?
Well, what's difficult about it is you think you've kind of gotten away with it in the moment, and then you're going to level, and as you go to level, these phantom high spots start to appear. It's almost like this white haze. It's not to say that our coatings are difficult. It's to say that if you apply too much, you make your life difficult. So you might think you've figured it out and that Ivan was wrong and somehow more is still better. You don't want those phantom high spots. Now, they're not the end of the world. They're just annoying because you've completed the job. You think you're done. And those high spots, they just they stress you out a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they weren't there in the beginning. So anyways, why did that even happen, Ivan?
Well, what happens is the coating forms a skin over the top. Once that skin is formed, there's still excess of the carrier solvents underneath. And that excess of the carrier solvent makes it so that it will eventually come through. And that when it comes through, it gives you that hazy or high spot look.
So that's not too rough under your applicator. That's the right amount of coating. How do you gauge that?
Basically with the feel. So your applicator will slide. Now, if it starts getting grabby, you just add 2 more drops.
Not 3?
No. 2.
Not 7?
No, definitely not 7. Maybe 3, but definitely not more than that.
And if you can't see this, let's say it's white paint. How can you know if you've got too much on there?
You can feel it quite easily. It feels like you're pushing around honey or something like that. And if you can see it on white paint, you probably put way too much on.
Sounds like something I'd do. Yeah, I'm kind of hearing the applicator against the paint as you go. So it's not as if there's no sound. It's not that you want so much coating that it's like this liquid slide.
Right. But if you go back over a section where you haven't touched, there's no sound.
Smooth, yeah, you're right.
So that gives you an auditory clue as to the section is done. I don't hear it anymore. And yes, with this applicator, not that it's scratchy or grabbing, it's just you do get that little note of it's moving over the surface. And when you don't hear it anymore, you know you've done it enough. So the whole hood is done, including the stripes, and Nick is not stressed.
No, I feel like it's too early for me to level.
A little bit, yeah. With Hydr8, it's actually a coating that's designed for the lone operator or the hobbyist at home. Basically, you can do half the car or even the whole car, depending on your speed, before you start leveling.
I always want to use the best products out there.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of detailers who have that instinct. I want the best that technology has to offer. And that's what Hydr8 is. And it's cool that because I've applied so many other coatings, I have it in my head, I need to get it on there and I need to level this panel before I move on. Whereas if I didn't have to stress about leveling right now, and as a solo guy, I just apply the coating and then take care of the leveling after. If this were like the first coating you ever installed, it would actually be so intuitive and easy.
Yeah.
But so as a detailer, you may have some other mindset. So just, it's important to shift in a little slight way to apply this the right way.
Yeah.
I still want to level it. I'm looking at it. I'm like, why am I not leveling right now?
Well,
I say that out loud like I'm talking to I'm coaching myself, Ivan.
Yeah, and you can level right now if you wanted to. So we have the instant bond technology. It's there, it's doing its job. But the longer you can hold off, the easier it will get. And it'll take you less time, actually. So if you wait, it'll actually take you less time than trying to do it now.
So let's just give this a shot. It's been a couple of minutes. My strategy is spreading the coating. This is my second applicator. This is not my, everything's going to be perfect after this towel. And all I'm thinking about is kind of like what app is like, I'm just spreading the coating. Ooh, getting it into here. Now, I haven't obviously got everywhere because that applicator is meant to do it. But that's sort of my mentality. I'm just kind of coaching myself, just getting the coating everywhere, spreading it around, and then that step is done. Now, you can still very much see the coating on the surface, right? We're a little early. Yeah, you see that oil kind of spread. Let's try this. We're going to go in the same line patterns, and I'm going to go outside the lines because we always do that when we level. I'm using the Freebird 400. No pressure. And I just want to see, is that knocking down my high spots? And it usually does, and if it doesn't, it's because I'm a little early. Patience is a huge, huge part of this coating. Ivan, let's say you were in a rush and the customer was coming in 20 minutes and you just had to get her done. What would you do then?
I would go around the whole vehicle, apply, and then I would level. Being in a rush actually slows you down. Trying to work faster slows you down. Take the time to do it right. It's actually going to end up taking you less time.
And I'll tell you, just moving it around there on the second step with the Freebird 400, I still felt like I was moving around a lot. If I had waited another 10 minutes, this Freebird 400 is going to leave this spotless, so to speak, I still see a little few spots where, Ivan, I'm tempted to overwork it now.
You're right.
Where I want to go back over and, oh, I see a little high spot. Let me, and it's going to work, but you've talked about overworking being problematic. I mean, I'm not hurting anything here, am I, by going over a couple more times, but then am I? I don't know. Ivan, you respond.
Yeah, you're best not to overwork a coating. Basically, it should be, first of all, the instructions should be very simple. Just get it on the paint. You don't need to worry about cross-hatching or anything like that. The other thing is, when it's ready to level, level it. But if it's not ready, give it a few more minutes. It's actually, like you said, going to take you more time to level it if you're rushing it than if you give it its proper time to set up. And in the case of Hydr8, yes, it is a rather long working time. The reason for that, as I said, was this is aimed at professional detailers. As a hobbyist, it's great too. But for the professional detailer, we want the professional detailer to be able to apply this to the vehicle. And most professional detailers, or a lot of them, work alone. So get it applied to the vehicle and then worry about leveling. Not having to keep switching between applying and leveling, applying and leveling. Do one operation, do it well. Do the second operation, do it well. On the stripes, unlike the polishing, now we're not ignoring them. We're going over them. We want to make sure they're nicely covered. Now on the stripe, Nick, you'll want to check it a little sooner. Because of the porosity of it, it might set up just a little faster. How's it feeling on the stripes, Nick?
It feels really good. I didn't feel anything thick there at all. So it soaked it in, and it looks like it leveled it really nice. So I went ahead and already used my Freebird 400. Now with no pressure, we're just circular motions. Again, Ivan, I think I'm a little early. I mean, that's the only thing I can say, because having worked with Hydr8 a bunch, I know when I give it time, this methodology works like a charm. It works like a breeze. Now I'm gonna flip the towel, just kind of working with the situation at hand to a clean side. Yeah, you see how it's still kind of moving it around? So I feel like I just want to give this another 5 minutes.
Yeah, give it a few more minutes. Go make yourself an espresso. Hydr8, like all the other DIY coatings, goes over every exterior surface of the vehicle. That means plastics, that means moldings, that means chrome, that means vinyl, that means anything that's on the outside of the car, we want to coat. So while you're waiting for this to level, Nick, what's in Hydr8?
Well, we have tetraethyl orthosilicate, TEOS technology. This is a coating that actually fills, Ivan. It's unlike any coating that we've ever put out before.
Yes.
It's got durability. The question is, what is tetraethyl orthosilicate, and what is Hydr8 in terms of other coatings that people may have experienced?
TEOS, we use a functionalized TEOS. There's a lot of coatings out there that use TEOS as a precursor to SiO2. We've actually managed to functionalize it, and it's part of the system. We also have SiO2, we also have silicon carbide. They're all there to conspire to build a coating that A, gives great results, B, fills a little bit. That was something that was important to me. C, super easy to apply, and very durable, resistant to fracturing, but also resistant to clogging. And that's the superpower of TEOS.
Clogging as in, oh my gosh, my coating doesn't bead anymore. I loved the water beads. What happened? It's been a long winter and now I'm having issues. Clogging is what happens when your coating stops beading. Now, it's not never going to clog, right? It doesn't mean that clogging has disappeared forever.
No.
But resistance, right?
Exactly. So I don't know if we can pick it up on camera. Stop there for a second, Nick. But if you look here, you can still see, looks like high spots and a bit of the oil slick on water. If you look on the first side that Nick leveled, now all we have is gloss.
Yeah, I think it just needed a little bit more time, but it's been leveling really nicely on this side with the Freebird 400.
More than any other coating in our lineup, the level 1 towel, you have to think of it as a secondary applicator. And it is doing exactly what the towel says. It's leveling the coating. It is not removing coating. We're just spreading it thinner, making a more even layer over the surface. Then the Freebird 400 is doing the actual removal of any excess.
One thing that might happen, Ivan, if you level too early, you can get your level 1 kind of wet with coating.
You're right.
So like, the only words of advice here are, give it time. Give it some patience.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening that's wrong here.
No.
Nothing's hard about this. It's just slightly different.
Right. And like I mentioned before, if you give it that time, the leveling will be easier and faster. So you're actually saving time.
I want to save time.
Yeah.
I want more gloss. I want that TEOS.
Yeah. So in the meantime, Nick can be setting up for his next detail, making sure his cart is all clean and organized, little things like that.
That sounds good.
So now it's been about 20 minutes. Nick, how's that going for you?
It's going great. Going great. We're just trying to follow the direction whatever you did, I'm following in that step-by-step way.
Yeah.
And yeah, the level 1 first, Freebird 400. It's a breeze. Just give it a little time. It's hard to give them an exact time frame, isn't it, Ivan?
Yeah, it's not difficult, it's impossible. Humidity, temperature are all variables, as well as the paint itself. You know, some paints are a little more absorbent than others. Some paints react differently to a coating. So you can't say with certainty that it's going to be 18 minutes and 36 seconds.
I wish we could, though.
Yeah, that would be nice.
So if I still feel like I'm moving coating around on the surface, again, is it just a little too soon, you think?
Yep.
Okay.
Depending on when this video comes out and when they decide to list it, but this vehicle will be listed on Bring a Trailer. Hydr8 is a very thick formula. Spreads very easily, but very thick. Let me put a drop or two on here just so you see just how, not as thick as a honey, but a little thicker than water for sure. Now, the nice thing about this applicator, it can get in everywhere, easily, simply. Now, this isn't a complicated surface, but if you do get complicated contours, you can fold the applicator, use your fingertip, get it in areas where it needs to go. The other nice thing about this applicator, I don't have to hold on to it. It holds on to me.
Ivan, I made a big mistake here.
And that is?
Forgot to bring my sunglasses.
Yeah.
It's getting bright in here. This paint is, it's shiny.
Yeah, the gloss levels are very high on this. It actually is a coating that increases gloss. And not all coatings increase gloss, and that's normal. Don't worry about it. The measured gloss with a meter is different than what we see with our eyes. This one is one of the rare coatings that not only gives you a visual improvement of gloss, but also a measured improvement of gloss.
It's really one of these, you have to kind of see it to believe it. I know you're probably seeing it on camera, but, and I know trust is a big ask. Just trust us, like in person. It's like with a Rotary, Ivan.
Yeah.
I never understood it. The Rotary leaves a better finish somehow than the DA.
Yeah.
And it's the smooth movement of the machine. It goes in one direction. The paint just loves it. And I was always telling you, no, it's DA is better to finish. Until I saw how beautifully the Rotary finished. It's kind of like this coating. It stuns the eye. It's like, it's got that wax-like glow where it fills some scratches in. Listen, I've seen a lot of ceramic coatings in my day, and Hydr8 is different.
Yes.
I want to make sure there's no high spots. I'm taking my time.
Now, I'm going to help Nick out a little bit, and the way I'm going to do that is I'm grabbing a level 1 towel way ahead of Nick. That way, as I'm doing that, I'm re-spreading the coating. If there's any high spots or low spots, I'm evening that out, accelerating the curing just a little bit, and then that way Nick, when he comes by to do his job, will be a lot easier for him. So this isn't I'm trying to wipe everything off pass. This is just a lightly spread it, making sure that it's everywhere. And that will make it much easier for Nick afterwards.
Easy's good. I like easy, Ivan. When it comes to ceramic coatings, we don't want stress.
No. And if you're applying this coating by yourself, it reduces stress so dramatically because you can go around the whole vehicle and then start leveling.
I'm laughing out loud. I'm having a reaction to this paint. It's not an allergic reaction. It's an emotional response. I couldn't control my my glee. Like, we didn't build this car. We didn't paint it. We didn't design it. But somehow I have pride in what we've done here, Ivan.
Well, we have improved it, that's for sure. So you can really see the oil slick on water or the rainbow effect here. And I'm not trying to remove any of that. I'm just going lightly over it with the towel. Basically, think of this as a secondary applicator. Normally, we wouldn't have to do this, and I don't suggest really doing it. But when you're working in a team and you want to accelerate a little bit, it's one way of doing it. The one advantage of doing what I'm doing though is I'm really making that coating as level as possible.
What else is there to say?
It's beautiful, it's glossy, it's slick. It might be available on Bring a Trailer right now, we don't know. But this car is a time capsule. Nick just opened the door to open the hood so I could put the hood pins back in. The interior still smells like a new car after 19 years.
Oh, but it literally still has the new car smell.
Yeah.
Absolutely wild. I think we did it justice.
Right.
What's great about Hydr8 is if you want the best, it's not just for a Shelby GT that it may be selling for 6 figures. It could be your car at home, your Honda, whatever your vehicle is, that's your stallion.
Yes.
That's your emotional connection. That's your safe refuge from the world. Like, if you want the best, this is good for any paint, Ivan.
Right. Any paint except for matte. Unfortunately, Hydr8 and matte paint will give you glossy paint because it actually fills. So that filling ability is a bit of a downside with matte, but other than that, any other paint is great, and it enhances the gloss. It brings out more depth. It brings out more shine. It's just a beautiful finish, and it is so luxuriously smooth to the touch.
It may make you smile. It might make you laugh. You've been forewarned.
Yes.
It might bring out those emotions in you. If you want to learn how to bring out even more shine and gloss in the polishing process, the Rotary jeweling pad does a nice job, Ivan, but we have other polishing methods that do more.
Exactly. And they're right here.